Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we received the new 1.6.0 beta, and I would have got this video out a lot sooner, but my computer blue screened, and I'm not a very good technical guy, so it took me a while to get it back. But regardless, this patch is 5.3 gigabytes, and it has some very good and actually surprising changes as well. So the link to this new beta patch will be down below. And in this video, like always, I'll be going over all the important things, all the important changes, the minor changes and fixes. They are going to be on the patch notes if you wish to follow the links in the description to get more of the information. But I did want to condense this a little bit to kind of make it more enjoyable to watch and just kind of really show off the really big features. And then obviously, if you want to see some of the smaller ones, you're always free to do so. Alrighty, so we're going to do single player, multiplayer, and then both. So single player first. First, they added an Ironman game mode that restricts your campaign save to a single save file. I'm going to be doing another playthrough with this enabled very soon. Keep a lookout. But with this, players can choose to enable this option during character creation and won't be able to change it during the game. If enabled, this option blocks the save as, load and exit to main menu buttons. The game will create a single save file for each individual campaign and will overwrite it when the game is saved. So kind of like an auto save feature in a way, and also you can always save, you just can't save as, but you can save normally, so therefore just keeping it at one save. I do like this a lot. Next, they added 2 new Sturgeon Boots, a Battanian Battle Crown model, a Western Empire Battle Crown model, and a Northern Empire Battle Crown model. Shout out to Scarface52 on the forums for the quick find and the quick show off. I do appreciate it. Next, they introduced a 10% desert speed penalty to the campaign map. So this has to do with, obviously, in this patch we received a huge overhaul for the cultural bonuses, and a very cool thing that I seen is some of my I made videos in the past talking about some of these changes and how I would like to see more change in that. Well, I don't think I completely influenced the developers. I think it's good that they took it to that step and actually implemented it kind of similar to a system that I wanted it, with some actual very good changes, including adding a desert speed penalty, which I did talk about in my videos. But very good to see. Next, we have 2 new pop-ups have been added to the party screen to streamline the upgrading / recruiting process. With these additions, the required amount of clicks has been reduced by removing the need to click on each troop tuple to upgrade / recruit. So it made it a lot easier to obviously, recruit and upgrade a lot faster. Next, they added an option to the party screen that allows you to lock units. Very cool, same way as it is in the inventory for weapons, armors, and all that. Now you can do it with your units. Next, they added production icons that can be seen from a distance to village nameplates to indicate the primary product of the village. So now you don't have to hover over the village, you can kind of see it, same way that you can see if there's a tournament in a town. Next, we have a lot of good sorting options to the encyclopedia list pages. For kingdoms, we have number of clans, number of fiefs, and total strength. For clans, we have number of members, number of fiefs, strength, and tier. For heroes, we have relation to the main hero and age. For settlements, we have prosperity, militia, loyalty, security, food, and garrison. And for troops, we have level and tier. So now, obviously, you can sort through you can pretty much sort through the encyclopedia in a lot faster and more efficient way. Very good to see. Then they added the ability to choose which type of troops will spawn from the custom battle screen, which is very good and very you can actually have a lot more fun now in the custom battle screen, which I always like to see, because it doesn't get as much love as it should, but I think with a lot more, a little bit more changes, I think it will get a lot more love. Next, they the transfer all troops / items now transfers up to the weight / party size limit. So now if you do want to transfer everything, it's only going to transfer to your limit, and then you can go over the limit if you wish, but this is a very good way for you to kind of stay under the limit and not get over encumbered too quick. Next, they changed the difficulty setting, which reduces damage to allies, to now only affect the player's own party. Friendly agents outside of the player's party will no longer receive a damage reduction. Before, what it was is there was 2 options, and then it got reduced to 1. But the 2 options was reduce damage to your party and then reduce damage to your let's say you're part of a kingdom, your friendly clans and the parties that your companions controlled, those would receive less damage as well. So those are the two options. Then it got morphed into one option, and then pretty much it got nerfed to where only your party is affected, not the other AI controlled parties, which I think is okay. It kind of gives it a good playing field. Next, they fixed an issue that caused the AI to require a second charge order for it to attack and further progress into the enemy town/castle after ladders were raised or the gate was broken. So this is actually a very good thing. Obviously, it's still not the ladder fix that we're all looking for, but this is also a big problem that did happen with a lot of units getting stuck, a lot of units pathing just getting a lot worse, or units completely ignoring entry into the castle once they actually take it down by either the gates or obviously putting the ladders up. So it's good to see that this was fixed. Next, they removed formation-related speed limits from troops when a battle ends so that you can chase fleeing enemies. So this was something that was added in 1.5.9. A lot of people disliked it, and now it's back. Look at there. Alrighty, now onto the revised cultural effects. So these were done in a very good way. Like I stated in the previous video that I made, it was a couple months ago at this point, but I stated there should be not just 1 or 2 changes, it should be 3 or 4 or 5. They chose to do 3, and I also like the fact that they did 2 pros for each culture and 1 con, so it's kind of like a trade-off. So the 2 things that they're strong at and 1 thing that they are not good at. And I think that it's actually not a bad way to look at it. But we're going to go over each culture. It's going to be on the screen right now, and let's do it. So Azurai, first, they had the original one they had before, which was the caravans are 30% cheaper to build and 10% less trade penalty. So that didn't really change. But the next one we have is no speed penalty in deserts. So obviously we had the change of a 10% speed reduction pretty much for everybody else except Azurai, and they now receive no penalty in deserts, which pretty much makes them the king of the desert in a way, because speed is the name of the game in this in Bannerlord. But very good to see. This is something that I did talk about, and I like the fact that they did add this reduction for deserts, because it just made so much sense. You know, we had one for, the plains, we had one for the forests, we had one for the snow, and it kind of makes sense that they actually added one for the deserts as well. But the con for Azurai is daily wages of troops in the party are increased by 5%. That is pretty steep, and it's actually a very big con. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how the other, cultures, what kind of cons they have. But that is a pretty significant con. Next, for Britannia, we have 50% less speed penalty and 15% sight range bonus in forest. So obviously we had the speed penalty already, but they also added a 15% sight range bonus in forest, which is very interesting. So you will see a little bit further when you are in forest. Very cool. I kind of like that. They probably should have even added, for the Azurai, they should have added a 15% sight bonus in deserts as well. That would have been a good addition. But the next one is towns owned by Battanian rulers have +1 militia production. Very good, actually, because the thing about Britannia is they are surrounded by a lot of different, kingdoms. So it's very good that they actually will have very strong militia counts in their towns and castles. Very good to see. And then their con is 10% slower build rate for town projects and settlement. Again, compared to the Azurai, it's a drop in the bucket. It's not that bad of a con, to be honest with you. Now, onto Empire. We have 20% less garrison troop wages. Very good, very strong. And then the next one being in an army brings 25% more influence. Again, this is something I talked about in a way. It's not exactly this way, but again, where I'm seeing a little bit of connections here. I'm not saying that I've, completely influenced this or anything like that, but it's good to see this in the game, and it makes a lot of sense, because obviously the Empire, they're kind of built upon, working together, getting into big armies and stuff, and this one makes a lot of sense for them. And then their con is village hearths increase 20% less. That's actually pretty significant as well, because your village hearths pretty much impact your town prosperities and your castle prosperities, so in a way, it's a pretty big deal. So again, it's a pretty big con, kind of like how the Azurai have a pretty big con. So it looks like Britannia are the only ones so far that have not that bad of a downside to their culture. Now onto the Khazaits. First one they have is recruiting and upgrading mounted troops is 10% cheaper. That's actually nuts. That's actually nuts. But one thing I don't see is their speed bonus. So it looks like their speed bonus is gone. So in a way, they got nerfed. Even though the recruiting and upgrading amount of troops 10% cheaper is pretty good, the speed bonus getting removed is a big nerf. The next pro is 25% production bonus to horses, mules, cows, and sheep in villages owned by Khazate rulers. Again, huge. That is huge for the economy. And then their con being 20% less tax income from towns, which again is a very heavy hitter. In my opinion, the Khazates got nerfed in a way. You know, while it looks like, you know, the production bonus and also the 10% cheaper mounted troops, the 20% less tax income from towns is very big. I think it should be 15 to 10, but very big hits. Now into Sturgia. First one is recruiting and upgrading infantry troops is 25% cheaper. Very good. That's actually that's very strong. And it, what's it called? Since most of their units are the infantry type, that is very, very strong. Next, armies lose 20% less daily cohesion. So armies will stay longer together because obviously, you know, if they're kind of going off Vikings and stuff like that, they did kind of go on these longer raiding parties. Therefore, that, you know, cohesion went down slower. So this makes, again, it makes a lot of sense. So good to see. And then their downside being 20% more relationship penalty from kingdom decisions. Okay, so, you know, obviously a lot of different, if we're thinking of the Vikings and, you know, the other influencers of the Sturgeon, culture, there was a lot of inter-kingdom feuds, so it kind of makes sense with that con. It's not the biggest one. Obviously, I think the Azurai, the Empire, and the Khazates still have the biggest hitters, but Sturgia it's an okay one. Now onto Vlandia, we have 5% more renown from battles, 15% more income while serving as a mercenary. Huge, huge. So there's literally no other. That's actually really good. If you're trying to do a mercenary gameplay, that's actually very good for and the 5% renown from battles. Ooh, that's a really good boost to your start of any place that you try to do. And the next pro being 10% production bonus to villages that are bound to castles. Again, very, very good. Very, very good. And their con being recruiting lords to armies costs 20% more influence. That is another heavy, heavy hitter. So while you get a very good head start in the beginning, towards the end, you are going to be paying influence like crazy. So armies are going to be very hard to actually form. So overall, I like the idea. I think there's some minor changes that need to be made, and I think they will be made in time. But I like the idea of differentiating the cultures, not just to one or two different changes, but to kind of, you know, this pro and con thing that they did. Very good. Nicely done. Next we have is increased the starting attribute and focus points in sandbox character creation. So it was kind of low, people were complaining about it, but players will now start the game with a bonus 2 focus points and 1 attribute point. And at the age of 20 they will get 4 focus points and 2 attribute points. At the age of 30 we have 6 and 3, and at the age of 40 8 and 4. So very good to see. Alrighty, now on to the added item donation system through perks. So Stewardship Tier 5 perk Foreseeable Future has been renamed to Giving Hands, with its primary effect changed to discarded weapons can now be donated to troops for increased experience. And also the Stewardship Tier 4 perk Paid and Promise secondary effect has been changed to discarded armors can now be donated to troops for increased experience. So what these perks pretty much does is whenever a player discards any item from their inventory or their loot screen, you know, decides to not pick it up, their troops will gain that experience. Pretty much you throwing those weapons away, in a way the troops will kind of pick it up, and in a way they will gain experience from it. I think this is actually a very good system. We're going to see if it's a little bit overpowered, but it's a very good system. It's not a system that I saw, and I'm actually happy to see it. It's again, it's another little thing that just gets added to kind of like how you experience the game, and I do like the fact that they do add these. They don't really show them off anyways. I mean, they don't show them off, and then, you know, they do surprise us. I think it's very good. Next, another thing that's a very big surprise. I have seen people talk about this, but I'm happy this was added. So they added a new feature named the crafting orders, which can now be accessed via the Enter Smithy game menu option in towns. It allows players to craft weapons for notables and nobles with open orders. Consequently, weapon crafting has been split into two modes: crafting orders and free build. So fulfilling crafting orders will grant you crafting experience and research points needed to unlock new parts, in addition to a gold reward and a relationship gain with a notable/noble based on the value of the crafted item. After taking an order, you'll need to create a weapon design that satisfies the stated requirements. Exceeding expectations or undelivering comes with its own bonuses and penalties, such as an increase or reduction of the gold reward. Relationship gains from crafting orders need to be unlocked with perks. The crafting experience and research points needed to unlock new parts gains received from the free build have been greatly reduced, and also devs will continue to evaluate the values of items produced via the crafting process. This is actually very big. I am going to check this out, and I'm going to make a separate video of me just going over all the new stuff that was added. But it looks kind of like a mini little overhaul. I won't even say mini. I think it looks like a pretty good overhaul, and kind of gives a little bit more purpose to crafting than just, spamming a lot of buttons. And I do like that, and I am very happy to go check it out. Next, we have success chance for gaining relationships via emissaries has been reduced by half. So this was very, very powerful, if you guys didn't notice, but if you left your companions at a town, they were gaining relations real quick, but now that has been halved. And lastly, for single player, they added 3 new quests called Gang Needs Recruits, Conquest of City, and Noble Revolt. So that does it for single player. Now onto multiplayer. We have 2. We have first, they made the shield blocking hitbox slightly more forgiving to opposing swing attacks. So they made it a little bit easier. Previously they did nerf it kind of hard, and now they just made it a little bit easier for people kind of to, not get hit as much. And next, they added the duel modes. This was promised to us, and it is delivered. So duel mode allows you to face off against other players in single combat. Duels take place on a new map, Proving Grounds, which has 3 different zones for infantry, ranged, and mounted combat, with each zone containing multiple arenas. After selecting your faction and class, players can be spawned in a central hub area where they can challenge other players to a duel. If the challenge is accepted, both players are teleported to a suitable arena and the duel begins, with the winner being the first place to score 3 rounds. Winning duels earns bounty points. Winners of duels get half of their opponent's bounty added to their own. Any bounty earned by the players is summed up as their score on the scoreboard. Very cool. So it's like a little new mini game, and you can also learn combat and become better at combat overall. I think this is very, very good, and I like that they added this one first, and then hopefully we see the ranked matchmaking come in as well with the leaderboards, and I think this is going to be very good. You're going to have a practice area, which is the duel mode, and then you're going to have an area where people can take it more seriously and actually go up the leaderboards. So very good to see. And also they added voice chat for skirmish game mode. Finally, I think it's going to be good. I think it might be kind of weird. I think some people are going to be a little bit edgy, but hopefully it does go all good, and it does, I think it will bring a very friendly experience to a lot of people playing multiplayer. Now onto both. First, they added animation sampling quality to the game options. It can be used to improve CPU performance for lower performance systems, and also obviously, like always, they have a lot of different performance upgrades, just a lot of them, all scrambled throughout these patch notes if you want to go check that out for yourself. And lastly, huge changes to the modding community, all on the screen right now. Hopefully this does help out modders make their best work, and as the dev stated before, and we have gone over in previous videos, this is still a work in progress, and if needed, the devs will deliver more changes and fixes, and get to the place where we need to be. But that does it for all the changes. Last, I'm going to end the video in the same way I end most of my update and dev talk videos. I want to thank the developers for staying active and bringing good changes. Very good changes here. I am going to start a new playthrough, like I said before. Very excited. A lot of good things have been added to this game in 1.6. And like always, I have 2 videos down below. If you're experiencing crashing after updating the patch, I have a video down below. And also, if you want to revert your game to any other patch released, or to the current patch if you are having problems with that, there is another link down below. Also, I did start a Patreon. Nothing crazy, just for basic support. Go check that out. And like always, hopefully this video was informative, and stay safe.